Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 1 of my Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. This is a complex advanced level project and it gets a little bit messy, but I'll do my best to make it as straightforward as possible. For my first one here, I've used the darkest skin tone in the skin tone pack, and I've used a kind of caramel brown. In this video, I'm going to be using a pale orange and a bright orange. We'll see how that comes out. I'm also going to be using black beads for the eyes. You can use a rubber band instead, or a different kind of bead. You'll need your C-clip towards the end, a hook and one or more holding hooks, and one red band if you put the bow on. We will be using our loom a lot in the offset position, so middle row above the other two. And there are a couple of ways we can make the beard and the mane. I'll explain that at the end. The shoulder pads are optional. They're the first thing I'm going to show you, and they're based on the design from the Roadrunner's Wings by Loom with Cheryl. And these pieces at the bottom of the extension are optional as well. And I think we're about ready to start. So let's begin with our extension, our shoulder piece. And I also wanted to mention, I've been watching a lot of Looming with Cheryl's videos, and I like how she specifies right side, left side. I'm going to try that this time, and you let me know how that works for you. So this is our right, the far side. This is our left, is the close side. And on our right side, we come down with 3 sets of double dark orange or your darker color. And then you're going to stretch your next 2 bands downwards from the 4th peg on the right to your 6th peg in the center. We'll do the same thing on the left side. 3 sets of orange bands, 2 orange each, coming down up to the 4th peg. And then from the 4th left peg to the 6th center peg, we're going to stretch 2 more. Starting 1 peg below, so from the 2nd peg down in the center, you're going to bring 4 sets of double oranges until they meet the end here. And we cap this off with another of your darker color. You're going to need to pause when we're done to make a second one. I should like to mention that as well. So once you have your cap on, we're wrapping it about 3 times over that bottom center. You'll reach under, just under the cap, and loop up your center piece. Come back down, and we're going to get the 2 which are coming from the side. So for myself, they should be going both to the right, to the left side. Just have to get under all those caps. And this is going back to the 4th peg on the left. And now get under that cap band again. Mine has slipped off, I'm just replacing it there. And this last set, we want the bottom 2 which come from the right and are going back to the right. And this cap really doesn't want to stay still here. Okay, get under that 5th peg on the center, and we can keep looping up now. We're going to loop up each of the rows to the top peg that we had the bands on. And the other side. You'll put all of these onto your hook. And pull them onto 2 bands of that same color. You can move them over a couple at a time if you like, or all together. I have something loose here, I'll fix that up for you before we get to the next part. You can take 2 of your bands and bring them over the other 2 so that you have 2 remaining, and this can go on the side onto a holding hook. Next we're going to do our arms. For the arms we're using, I'll make both of these with you actually. We're going to take our paler color and we're going to wrap 3 bands around our hook 3 times. We pull this onto 5 sets of double or 2 bands of the same color. It's more you can pull these over all at once or a couple at a time. So there's 1 set, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this will go onto a single band of the same color. We want it to be a little bit loose and flexible when we're done. And put this onto your hook, put it on the side. We'll make 1 more here. So 3 bands wrapped 3 times on the hook. Pull it onto 5 pairs of double or 2 orange bands. This is 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to put this onto a single band. Let's get our side extensions ready. Once more, I have 1 at the ready, and you'll need to make 1 with me and 1 on your own. We start at the top of the loom, and we're going to take 2 of our darker colored bands and create a chain coming down, sets of 2, all the way down the left side until we have 6 bands, 6 sets of bands. This is 4, 5, and 6. With our paler bands, again I'm using light orange, we're going to skip the first peg and we're going to go to the next one and take 2 pale orange and come down to the center and repeat that on each of the pairs below, each of the sets below. This is an extension design from Tutorials by A. She uses this on a lot of her princess designs for the skirts, and it always comes out really nice, I find. And these are gonna make the body a little bit thicker. If you want to have this piece here, what we're gonna do to add that is take some of our darker colored bands. We'll take a single, wrap it 3 or 4 times onto the hook and pull that onto 2 pairs, 2 sets of 2 dark orange bands. And then we stick this on that bottom peg where we had the last of our orange, dark orange bands. And just go right on top there. Now we reach underneath that capping piece and underneath the light orange piece, and we're going to bring those 2 bands upwards and loop straight up the left row to the top of the loom. And remove this from your loom. Get all these fun little floppy chains here. You can place this on the side. Our last thing to do for this part 1 of the video is our leg. For our leg, we are coming down 4 times on the center row with 2 pale orange bands each time. And down the left-hand row 4 times. Once more, we're using 2 orange bands for each. We'll cap each of these except for the top set. We're going to cap every other row across with a doubled over single so twist it onto itself. Bring it from that second peg left to the second peg center, from the third peg left to the third peg center, and 2 more below. So we should have 4 doubled over caps in total. And then for the boot, you can keep it really short, really simple. If there's a method you like, go for it. To get this effect, I'm doing something very close to Kate Schultz's boot design. So we're going to take 2 bands, the same color, wrap it twice on the loom, on the hook, and pull it onto 2 more bands of the same color. Slide this over a little, and we'll do that again. 2 bands wrapped 2 times. You can wrap it 3 times if you want it tighter. And we're going to pull this on top. But before we put the other bands back on here, I'm going to slide this piece over, just the first part. And what I like to do here is put my finger through the 2 bands which are on the end of the hook, pull those off, and I twist around and put my hook under the opposite side. And then the bottom 2 bands come over the top 2 at the end of the hook. We put this back, and this comes onto that bottommost peg. This is our 5th peg from the top. And now we can reach under that foot piece and hold it down so it doesn't slip off. And we're going to loom back. So loom upwards diagonally to the right, the first top 2. And the next 2 should be coming up. And then you can pick either row and loop to the top of the loom, but push back your cap bands when you get to them. And they'll keep everything nice and tight for us. You're ready to take this off the loom. Put your hook through the center peg bands and the left peg bands, and remove. You're going to make a second one of these. So when you return for part 2, you will have 2 extensions, 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 shoulder pieces. I will see you back right away for part 2. Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 2 of my rainbow loom tutorial for the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. We have all of our pieces ready, and we do have a small change to make to the extension, but we'll do that in a minute. First we need our layout for our loom. You're going to take 2 of your paler color and come from your top peg to your second peg in the center using 3 bands. We take 2, the rest of these are going to be 2 bands each. Darker color, second peg on the center to second peg on the right, counting from the top. And we need 7 sets coming down the right side. Same thing to the left, 2 bands from the center second to the left second, and 7 sets of double bands. In the center, we're going to come from the second peg to the third peg with 2 dark bands, and then follow that with 7 sets of our paler bands, 2 bands each. I'm putting a cap band here. It's just a single pale one. I wanted to make sure I remembered, so I put that on very first thing. This is coming over the last bands. If you're counting upwards, that's your 5th peg from the bottom to your 5th peg from the bottom, and rising above the 5th in the center. Now we're going to add our arms, and these are going on the 4th peg down this time. Sorry, the 5th peg. This is, no, the 4th peg, but this is a little bit different this time. It's not going right at the shoulder, because that's where our shoulder is gonna sit. So count down to the 4th peg on the left, and then the 4th peg on the right, and that's where you're going to place your arm. Our shoulder pieces can go Well, maybe we'll put those on afterwards, that's okay. But our legs we can do now. Point your toes away from you, and we're going to take 4 bands and put them on that 5th peg from the bottom where we finished placing our bands for the left. And we want the other 4 to sit on the center last peg there that we were using. And this was the 4th peg up from the bottom. We're going to put the other leg on the other side. Again, just check that your foot is pointing out. And 4 of those bands come onto this bottom right peg, which is our 5th peg from the bottom of the loom. And we put the other 4 onto that center peg. It's going to get really thick here. And just take your time. I'm actually going to slide my hook through so I can do this from the opposite direction. You can always put on a couple bands at a time if that's easier for you. Push it down, but try and keep them in order if you possibly can. We're going to put a cap band on that bottom center one. Again, 4th one from the bottom. Take a single pale colored band, and we're going to wrap it 2 or 3 times. We don't want it too loose, but we do need to get under there, so not too tight. We can add our extensions now. These are the side ones, so get it onto your hook again if you've taken it and put it on the side. This goes onto the 2nd peg from the top on the left to start. And we're going to grab each of these sets of orange as they come down and pull it down to the peg underneath and the peg in the center. So the second one will go over the arm piece and to the center right above. We continue this way, get all of your oranges on. Try to get them in the proper corresponding order here. Oh, that's right, we have the right number. Okay, we're good. So once you get right near the bottom, we're going to be short one, and you're going to stretch the orange, the dark orange, all the way to the bottom. It's going to be a little tight, and it won't fit over the it won't fit over the center, and that's okay. We have this capping band in place. We can now take the other extension for our right side and attach that in the same way. Just trying to get it on my hook here. So we put it on the 2nd peg from the top, and we're going to bring out each set of our paler colored bands, stretch them over each peg which is underneath into the center peg diagonally above each of those. And we're almost done. And stretch that last orange piece down too. Okay, this is what we've got so far. We are going to add our shoulder pieces now. So I have it on a bamboo skewer here. It's a little funny, but this is something I can put a lot of pieces on and take them off from either side. We're going to take our shoulder piece and take the loops. Decide which side you want facing up. Put your loops onto the 2nd peg, our thick shoulder one. And you're going to put your hook in towards the bottom, get in the caps if you can, and place this over onto the arm band, the arm peg, which was our 4th peg from the top. And we're just going to keep it over to the side for now. It's coming from the 2nd to the 4th, and you're just grabbing a couple bands from inside to hook it on there. On the right side, we're going to put it on the 2nd peg down. Grab a couple of bands right at the bottom, the caps if you can find them. And we want to put this onto that 4th peg from the top where the arms are, just like on the other side. push it down a little bit. And we are ready to start looping up. So this is where it gets a little tricky. We're going to go under that cap band in the center bottom, and find and retrieve the first 4 bands. Put your thumb on top if you need, just to keep it secure. Push these bands to the side. And I'm going to recommend that you get the next 2 bands on the side and loop those up from underneath, just because we have so many bands here, we don't want them to start slipping off while we're on the next section. So I'm just pulling this up 1 time, and you can by all means keep going, or you can stick with me, and we're going to come back under the center one, get the next 4 bands, bring them to the left side. So you want to make sure you get all of them. So do it in bits and pieces if you need. You can even do it 1 at a time. Sometimes I even find I have to very carefully take off my cap band and stick my hook through to find it, but you do what you need. We're going to reach under to the side and pull up the first 2 orange bands that are on the bottom. And now we can reach under and get those bottom 2, which are going up the center. We'll continue up the center until we reach the second peg from the top now. And we'll come back down the side. We've already looped up the first one, so we'll continue from there. Go underneath, get the bottom 2 orange, push back all the cap bands with your hook and only take the bottom 2. Some areas will be thicker than others, and some of these pegs are surprisingly easy to kind of navigate through. When you get to the arm extension, we're going to just keep going. Push it all to the side so you can see the bottom 2. Can use your hook and slide them out if it helps. And we're going to go straight up. Keep your side extension and your shoulder out of the way. Go under again, get your bottom 2, and loop them up. And the last 2 are coming to the center. We'll repeat this on the other side. So we're just going in for the bottommost 2 orange bands. It should be curved out towards you. We're pulling them up. I'm going to turn my loom sideways here so we can get underneath the extension piece. And once you have everything in the center, you can reach underneath and get your 3 neck pieces, which should be of the lighter color. Makes it a little bit easier to find. Okay, loosen it up wherever it's kind of tight here, especially the arms, the shoulders, by the feet. And as soon as you're ready, you can remove this from your loom. Put your hook through the top bands on that top peg and release it all. So here is our body so far. We will be securing the shoulder pieces a little tighter once we've got the head going, but this is where we're at, and when we come back for part 3, we're going to start putting our head and our face together and begin to finish our Cowardly Lion. Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 3 of my Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. We have the body at the ready. We're going to make some ears, and then I'll go over some options you have for the mane before we get on our face. So for our ears, we're going to take a single pale colored band, wrap it about 3 times onto the hook, and pull it onto 2 pale colored bands. And you can just leave this on your hook for the moment. We'll be using it soon enough. And one more, same thing, single wrapped 3 times and pulled onto 2 single bands of the same color. For the mane, for his curls, there are a couple of things you can do. Before you get this layout ready even, let me show you. When you are putting your bands on, you can take a series, here we'll grab a bunch of these, series of loose singles and slide them onto your bands as you place them on. So if you want to do this, you will have some very loose springy ones and you can put those on each of the bands. Another method you can use is to make chains, some short chains. I'll just show you with a really short one. So I'm going to take a single, wrap it twice, and you can do this on one band or on 2. I'm just going to do it on one. And this will make it a little bit looser. We pull them onto a series of single bands. And then this can either go on top of the pegs, or again, you can attach this directly onto your bands as you place them on the face and have chains coming down the side and link them in later. Now, the way that I made the curls for the mane on mine, I'll actually show you this after we have our face together. Some of this will be put on while we're looping, just before we loop, and some will be put on after. So for this, for the shape of the head, and you can add the curls any way you like. Oh, there is one other method I'd like to mention. You can also do what we did with the ears. Take a single, wrap it 2 or 3 times, and put it onto a doubled over single, or a single single if you want it looser, and place this onto your pegs. And it'll give it kind of a lumpy, loose look, but you'll have some spaces in between. Alright, now we're ready to proceed. For this Cowardly Lion, you're taking 2 orange bands from your top center peg to your top right peg, 2 center bands from your top center peg to your top left peg, and 2 sets of double orange bands. This is the darker color, coming down until the 3rd peg on either side. We're going to come down 3 times with double pale orange or pale colored bands in the center. And we're going to take 2 bands from the right 3rd peg to the center 4th peg for our chin here. And same from the left coming down. We need a single pale colored capping band from our 3rd to our 3rd in a triangle formation. I'm going to borrow a trick of Kate Schultz's from Isalicious Designs. We're going to take a single and twist it a couple of times and place this from our 2nd peg to our 2nd peg to keep the eyes a little bit clearer and further up. As I'm using beads, I will be placing them on my dental floss to thread them. For this, we put the dental floss through the holes of both beads onto a pale colored band. Wrap the floss back over and back through the 2 beads. If you're using bands or beads with larger holes, you can place the wrapped bands or the beads right onto your hook and thread them directly on. But this is a nice alternative, and the lion kind of has smaller eyes, so this is more appropriate, I felt. And your eyes are going to come from 2nd peg on the side to 2nd peg on the other side. We'll separate them as I like to do, put it over the center. If you feel like having a little nose, you can use a bead or a black band. Wrap it a few times and stretch it onto a skin-colored band. This can be added either when you're finished or can be stretched across from our 3rd peg to our 3rd peg and then brought up and over. I think he's kind of cute without the nose, but that's another option for you. We are ready to put our body on. So make sure you have your front facing up. We'll take the neck bands, place them over here, and the fourth peg down in the center. And just before we start, we're gonna make some of our hair, some of our mane. Oh, and we have our ears to put on. We can do our ears first. Those come on the top left peg and the top right peg, respectively. You just slow down a second and hold this up so you can check that you have everything you need here. Now what I did for the mane, I'm using the darker color and I'm wrapping single bands onto the hook once each. I believe I did about 13 bands, so it's a lot. You can leave them looser, you can make them tighter, you can add some, you can use fewer, entirely up to you. 6, 7, 8, oops, and they'll want to slide off, so just keep holding on. 9, 10, 11, I'll just do 12 this time. I know it's a little tedious here. And you can either bring it all into one band, or you make it easier. What we can do is take a second band, pull it through the first one and underneath so that we have a knot. And now we're going to hold on to this, keep some tension, and place it at the end of our hook and push all of these loose little pieces over. It's going to want to slip. Oh, hold on tight, try not to lose it there. If you do, you can always put a couple more back on and re-thread it. But it is going to be a little bit springy, so watch out. This comes from the third peg on the left. Push it down really, really well. And you can stretch this to the top peg on the left and just pull it under the ear, push it to the side. We'll do the same for the other side. Try and do this a little bit faster. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can have this as thick or as thin as you like. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All on the hook. And I'm taking 2 bands again. We're going to stretch it out. Stretch a second band so that they kind of cross each other. This one's coming under the other. And we're going to grab it back and under and pull it up so that we have a knot there. And this again, very careful. Oh dear. I told you it's a bit springy. Okay. Do this one more time, hopefully the last time. You will get faster at this the more you do it, I'll tell you that. If you are more comfortable, you can always just try and put this onto a single band, and then you'll have higher tension. It just might be harder to stretch the bands out as much as you like. There we go. This comes from our top right to our third right from the top, counting down. For our top section, we're going to do 4 bands twisted once each. 2, 3, 4. And you can just pull this all onto one band this time. And put this from your top center to your top left pegs. We're going to tuck all those hairs in between and pull the band under your earpiece. And the other side, 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place it on. ready to loom up. So go underneath the neck piece, and we're taking 2 bands back to the right. Should be right at the top. 2 bands, the next 2 bands will go to our left side. And then we can loop up the face the whole way, just stay under your cap for the eye. We loop up the side, get your hook underneath, and only pull up the bottom 2. And the last 2 meet in the center. On the other side, same thing, just go straight up, only grab your bottom 2. I'll turn this around a little bit. And I think sorry, I know we're close, but I'm almost out of time here. So let me stop this video and I'll meet you back for part 4. We'll be really short and we will get through the loss of this. I'll see you. Hi there, this is Art and Such with our 4th and final part of the Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz. I just wanted to make sure we had time for all of our finishing touches. So we just got to the part where we have our whole head looped up, our body is attached. We're going to take a single orange band and pull it through all of the bands on the topmost center peg to secure it all together. And holding on to this, we can loosen up our tight parts and remove this from our loom. Things are going to be a little bit funny looking, so just we'll do some tugging and adjusting. Pull your curls to where you can see them. We are going to tuck our securing band in the back with a C-clip. I'm just pulling it under a couple of bands so it isn't sticking out too far. Okay, there we go. For our, let's untuck that ear a little bit if we can. So you'll want to make some adjustments right off. And then we're going to make the little part of the mane that comes over the face. So we're going to do 5 wrapped singles. So each one wrap it once. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll pull this onto a single. These are all our darker colors still, the darker shade. And this is a little bit tricky, but what we want to do is come into just under the face, right about here, right where the chin is, and we're going to pull one end of this band with all the others back through the face. And then we need to reach up into the side of the face where our darker orange starts and grab the other end, keep some tension on it, oops, and pull it back through. So this is what it looks like right now. And we're going to do the same for the other side. So I'm going to use my other hook now. We're going to do 5 bands, each wrapped once over the hook. You can always make it tighter by wrapping it twice. 4 and 5. And we pull these onto a single of the same color. I have to be extra careful with this hook. I know this is the one that likes to lose bands. And we're going to come back through the back of the head, same place, and grab our band, bring it right through.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
Sorry guys. We're coming back through the right side of the face, Keep some tension on your band, and we're going to pull it back through.
Yeah, it was just cutting out a little bit there.
And this comes onto our C-clip as soon as you can get it there. Trying to stay on camera here. Use your hand if you need to. Use your fingers. Sometimes they're more effective than the hook. This thing's just slipping around on me a little though. And there we are. Okay, so that's secured at the back. We can pop the eyes through a little bit, pop the ears up. I think we will take an orange band or two, and we're going to come from the back of the top of our shoulder piece. We'll bring a single band through that. Just hold on to we'll leave one of these ends loose on our finger for the moment. So it's just sitting right through. And we're going to reach to the back and grab the top of the other shoulder. Pull it through. And we can secure these together by pulling one over the other, creating a slip knot. Weave it up as you need, and we'll put this onto our C-clip as well, or you can add another C-clip at this point if you are finding this one too crowded. So those are tugged in a little bit. Pop our eyes out. If you're not happy with where your main pieces are, you can fidget them around. You can pull some of the looser ones in at the back. And the last thing we need, if you are so inclined, let's straighten those arms too. You'll see there are some paler colored bands on the side. You can pull a couple of those up and pull your arm underneath. It'll get them closer to the front there. The last thing, if you are so inclined, is to have the little red bow in the hair. This is a little tricky to show, but I'll do my best. I'm gonna go under a band at the top of the head. I'm going to pull a red through and hold on to the other side. And then we're going to make this into a knot. So, these are always so hard for me to show. Okay, we're going to keep one on the finger. The other will go around the other finger and back on top. And then we pull this bottom one over. I think that'll work. Let's try this a different way. Okay, here we go. Around the finger, bottom one over, and then we'll pull this one up on top. Once more, I've got one more band here to go over. Like I said, this is a really hard one to show, but if you have, again, if there's a way you have for making bows that you like better.
Okay.
Do what works for you, and I think we are complete. There is your Cowardly Lion. I'll encourage you to check out my Tin Man and my Dorothy. And thank you for watching.